Hey, what's up everybody? Thanks for watching another one of my videos. Today we're gonna be doing epoxy grout. I have yet to make a epoxy grout video, so this is a good opportunity to help you guys learn and allow me to show you how to properly do epoxy grout. So we're going to be using the SpectraLock Pro Premium Grout. We picked this up from Floor & Decor. I have used this grout before, but it's been a while. So I want to really take my time with this. And again, it's just a good opportunity for me to show you how to do it. I'm going to be going through the procedure, read the instructions, the tools that you need, and get you guys on the right track here. First thing, you want a good grout float. This one is a little old. It has some little dings in it. If I were you, I'd buy a brand new one. I just didn't have time to stop and grab a new one. This is a hard epoxy rubber grout float. I have this little scrub brush here. You may or may not need this. This is a green foam float. It's got just kind of a soft scrubby on it, not a real abrasive hard scrubby, so that we can clean. Margin trowel. You can use a mixer to mix this, but I'm just going to be using the margin trowel. If you're doing large quantities, you probably want a mixer and a nice new clean paddle. Really important, microfiber cloths. Get yourself a pack of these. These are great for cleaning up the epoxy grout when you're doing the rinses. You'll also need a good sponge. We're doing a pretty small area, so I just have one new sponge. If you're doing like a whole shower, I would probably have 2 or 3 of these because they will get gummed up as you use them. Rubber gloves are important. I like these. These are Thickster rubber gloves. I like these because they stay tight to your skin and they'll protect your hands from the epoxy. I got my Carhartts on, my old Carhartts. Any clothes that you're worried about ruining, don't wear them. I do have this nice Van Gogh shirt that I got at the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York, but it's gonna kind of turn into a work shirt and I already have some stuff on it, so I'm not too worried about it. Those are the things with epoxy grout. Timing is critical with this, but don't be afraid. It does clean up really easy if you follow the instructions properly. So let's go over that. Let's get into what's in the containers. So we have the parts A and B, and then we have the part C, which is the color. We're using bright white today. Go ahead and I'll open this guy up. So in the pail they give you, ooh, a nice new sponge. I like that. We got the instructions right here. And then we have, oh, they give you some kind of chintzy little gloves. These would probably tear pretty easy if you got them, you know, on like a sharp corner of a tile or something. But yeah, if you were in a bind, you get a nice pair of gloves. And then the rinse aids. So one of these is for the initial wipe, and then, so the green one is for the initial wipe, the red one is for the final. I don't know exactly what this is. I assume it's some sort of acidic, probably has a low pH to it, probably a mild acid similar to vinegar. So those go into the rinse water as you're rinsing to aid in the cleanup process. Yeah, here is the parts A and B. These are the parts that mix to give the catalytic reaction to harden the grout. Okay, so let me read the instructions real quick. Mix liquids, yeah, the A and B, and then you're gonna mix this. Once the A and B are blended, yeah, it says mix with a margin trowel or slow speed drill mixer. Once blended, add part C to powder, blended A and B liquids thoroughly. It is acceptable to leave out up to 10% of part C. If you want your grout a little bit looser, if you got tight grout joints like a 1/16 or less, withhold about 10%. If you are going to use a drill to mix it, make sure it's less than 300 RPM. You want that drill to be mixing slowly because if you introduce air to it, it's going to speed up the catalytic process of the epoxy and it's going to go off too fast. So you want to mix it slow, and I'm just going to use the margin trowel because it's such a small amount. But yeah, if I was doing more, I would probably use a mixer if I was doing maybe a whole shower or a big floor. You want to see the video how we did tile over tile installation to kind of save the homeowner a bunch of money. He had some ponding issues and slope issues in the shower pan, and instead of tearing the whole thing out and doing a really expensive repair, we did tile over tile, and we're using this epoxy grout to really kind of give him a lifetime warranty on his installation. So if you want to see that video, we'll put the link in the description below. Spread the grout using a sharp edge, firm rubber grout float. Work the grout diagonally across the joints, packing them full. Cut the excess off with the margin trowel as a squeegee. Use firm pressure diagonally across the grout joints and hold the grout float up at a steep angle, and that'll kind of act like a squeegee. You want to get as much of the grout off of the tile. You want it as clean as you can. That's going to just help the cleanup process go a lot smoother. Once grout has been spread, wait about 20 minutes or within 1 hour of initial cleaning of the product. So we're going to spread the grout, wait 20 minutes, and then we're going to do the initial wash. Before you start the process, make sure you read the instructions, because yeah, there's a lot of horror stories about epoxy grout. Most of those horror stories are due to people not reading the instructions and not understanding how much they can spread, how fast it goes off. You're watching this video, that's going to help you out. So if you're prepared, you can do it. But if you do happen to screw it up, you're kind of screwed. It's one of those things, and I guess that's the scary part, is that epoxy does not come off tile very easily. So if you got residue that doesn't get cleaned off and it's stuck to the tile, there's really nothing that's going to take it off. I almost think it would probably be easier just to tear the tile out and start over. These instructions are crucial. You do need to follow them, but if you do, epoxy grout will leave you a grout that's basically bulletproof. Never needs sealer. It's not gonna slough off like some of the cementitious grouts do. It's just really hard, durable surface for your grout, your tiled shower. I'm excited to show you. Let's get going on it. We're gonna start mixing up. Okay, so I'm going to cut this. It doesn't really say, but I'm gonna just cut a corner off so I can kind of squeeze it out, almost like frosting. Okay, and I'm just gonna kind of squeeze it out. Get all of the contents out. I'm gonna save just a little bit in the bag. If I have to do like one little tiny touch up in there, I don't want to have to go spend $120 on another unit. So I'm just going to save a little bit in the bag. I'll save a little bit of the resin of the Part A as well. So yeah, that's pretty much all of it. But yeah, if I did need to mix up just a handful more, I will do the same thing. So there may be some confusion between Laticrete Spectralock 1 grout, which is a pre-mixed single component epoxy-like grout, and confusion between that and the Spectralock Pro Premium True Epoxy grout. The single component is different. It's not a true epoxy. They say it has epoxy-like performance. Take that for what it is. I don't know exactly what that means. I've used it before. It definitely does not dry as hard as epoxy. I mean, there are a lot of benefits to the single component because you can just open the lid, use what you need to use, put the lid back on, and come back and use more. Like if, say you had a touch-up, just open the lid, put a little more grout in. Once you mix this up, this catalytic reaction, it's done, it's cooked. You know, maybe some other time I'll go over the pros and cons of each one, but I think True epoxy is better. I'll kind of leave it at that. I think it has better performance. But the Spectralock 1, if you're kind of unsure about your grouting abilities, maybe Spectralock 1 is a better place to start. And you're going to get similar results, but not as good. So yeah, so I mixed up the A and B here, just kind of mixed it up pretty good. It mixes up real easy because this is almost just like mixing up thick paint. It's not like I have to give it any like real force stirring. Once I put this in here, I'm gonna have to give it a little more action. So again, I'll probably withhold just a little, not even a handful from the mix. Just enough for a little touch up if I need it. I'm not really advising to do that because, you know, to get the ratios perfect, that would take some way to measure how much you're putting in there to make sure you're consistent. But I know that there is some wiggle room. So that's just what I've always done with epoxy, because whenever you're grouting, a lot of times you'll grout everything, even get to the final wipe, and you'll notice one little speck, a little pinhole or something. And like I said, that would be a really expensive pinhole if you had to go buy another unit of grout. But yeah, with the full amount of the Part C, I can tell this is a pretty stiff mix. It's gonna go on pretty stiff. But with any grout, I like to go over my tile with a damp microfiber. That just kind of lubricates the surface and helps the grout slide across it. So I'll show you when we get in there to do that. But really, really easy to mix. This is a really easy mix. It's not like you had to do a lot of force in mixing. I don't think you need really a drill to mix it. If you're just doing a unit at a time, I don't think I would worry about that. I suggest go check out the data sheet. It'll have the coverages for the tile size that you have, and it'll give the square footage that each unit will do. We could probably do 2 of the shower floors that I'm doing in here. Okay, so I'm happy with that mix. Let's go ahead and I'm going to take my gloves off. I'm just going to take my float, take my microfibers, and since we're not going to rinse for 20 minutes after we lay it down, I can just come back out here and get my buckets. But so this is our tile over tile that we did yesterday. Finished setting this, came out really nice. Again, if you want to watch the entire process of that, we got a good video for it. But it came out really good. It's all clean, ready to go. I'm just gonna work from out here. But yeah, I like to get the surface damp. It also just cleans off any maybe wet saw residue or dust or anything. Want to make sure your grout joints are fully clean. You need at least 50% of the joint clear of thinset. So half of the depth of the tile needs to be free of thinset. So you get a nice grout joint. So I'm getting the floor nice and wet. I don't really like using sponges for this step because it tends to put water down into the grout joint. I just want water on the top. I don't want the water getting into the grout joint. So I'm just gonna go at it. I can start out here. And you'll probably want to have your gloves on for this step. I'm gonna try to just stay clean with it. So you want to just smash the grout into the joints. Okay, so yeah, so I'm just applying good pressure in here, and you can see why you want a new grout float. See those streaks? That's because I got little beat up grout float here. So it'd come off a lot cleaner if I had a brand new grout float. But I like to work diagonally across the joints. That seems to fill them, and go both directions. That's kind of the best that I can describe my technique, and just kind of smashing it in there. It's going in the joints really nice. I mean, just as good as regular grout. But I can definitely tell just that little bit of moisture that I put on the surface of the tile is helping out. There's not so much friction as I spread. So I want to make sure I get the edges packed really good. I'm also going to kind of pack in to cover the tile over tile on the inside once I get to the end here. So yeah, you see how I'm using my grout float going at a 45 diagonal against the grout joints where I can. Once you get to the edge, you can't really do that, but that leaves those grout joints kind of almost pillowed up. They're almost higher than the surface of the tile. And again, going both directions will help get rid of any air pockets. We don't want air bubbles, because they'll show up as you clean and rinse it, and that's like the worst, when you keep having to go in and fill in little tiny pinholes as they keep showing up. So I can definitely tell though, I can tell that the grout is on the stiffer side because I put all of part C in there, which I didn't want this grout to be loose. I wanted it to be nice and firm. So yeah, if you had a subway tile with pretty tight joints, I would suggest withholding some of that part C. I believe they sell mini units as well. I don't know if they have them at Floor & Decor, but they do have mini units that I think are half of the size that I used, and I think that would have worked. I didn't even use half of what I needed there. See, that's how much I still have left. So yeah, I do have one other grout. Ronnie left me his grout float. I might go check that out after I get the bulk of this. And that might give me a little bit better squeegee, because this guy has those little tears in it that are. So yeah, so like the instructions say, we want to get as much of the residue off in this step that we can. But so far so good. I'm impressed. I'm impressed with the results. Yeah, we did a good job installing this. We took each of these 2x2s off of their sheet. So every one of these tiles was placed one by one by hand. And when you do that, it kind of allows you to adjust and put each tile exactly where you want it. All right, everything looks pretty full. Again, I'm gonna go see if I can find that other grout float. So yeah, so I'm gonna take, actually I'll take my margin trowel, and I'm gonna kind of pack in this joint here. And a lot of people kind of worry about you know, being allowed to weep under this tile. Common misconception with these sealed systems like the Schluter-Curdy is that they rely on evaporation, not gravity, to dry out. So there are no weep holes. There are no weep holes in a Schluter system. Water doesn't move through thin set like that through gravity. It moves through evaporation, capillary action, and water vapor. So I can seal this edge up and not worry about it affecting the performance of the waterproofing. Yeah, so I just want that to kind of be a nice finish. You're not going to see it unless you take the tileable grate out, but I kind of wanted to seal that up. Seal it up nice. And then I'll wipe it down with a sponge. All right, I got that. I'm going to go clean off my tools outside. I'm going to go get the initial rinse packet, my sponge, and then get back in here. Again, 20 minutes. We need to wait at least 10 more minutes before we can wipe this. So that'll give me time to go clean my tools, get the rinse packet, get in here and get set up for the initial wash. You want to be more safe than sorry with this stuff. So it hasn't been 20 minutes, but I don't want to be hanging out outside and not have my eye on this. Because again, the ambient temperature, humidity, airflow can affect the cure times. If you put your finger into the joint and there's still residue coming up, then it's not ready. It'll start to just slightly skin over and you'll be able to put your finger in it without any white stuff coming up. Yeah, so we gotta wait still, but that gives me time to get my packets mixed up. So the green one, initial wash, we're gonna put that in there. We've used vinegar in the past. You know, epoxies come a long ways, and Laticrete has always been easier to use. I've used a lot of customs. Their first one that they had that we used was the 100% solids epoxy, and that one was a bear, and that one was so hard to clean up. It was so gummy, and basically what we would do, we did it a lot with quarry tile, like commercial restaurants and stuff. And so we'd grout it and then we'd basically just dump water onto the epoxy, and you just take your sponges and just, I mean, it's just working, and it would take forever to clean up. And we'd put dish soap in our rinse water. That seemed to help. But Laticrete for me has always been pretty easy to use. And from what I've heard from most other installers, they say this one is definitely the easiest true epoxy to use. Now I believe there's another grade, maybe if you're watching and you know, you can leave it in the comments. If you are doing it and you need the chemical resistance, like in a restaurant or some kind of manufacturing facility where they're spraying, you know, heavy chemicals down on the grout, I think this version, the Premium Pro, I don't believe is rated for that type of chemical resistance, but Laticrete does have another version that can be used pretty much in any commercial application where they're spraying chemicals on it. But in a shower, residential shower, I hope you're not spraying those type of chemicals in here. So this will be plenty. Again, I gave Brent a lifetime warranty on this installation that we did. So it's my guarantee. It's not Laticrete's guarantee. If anything ever happened, it would be coming back to me. So I wanted to use the best products. That was the 254 Platinum underneath it and the Epoxy Grout on top of it. Because Brent, this is his second go around doing this, and I want to make sure he never has to do it again. Unless he wants to, that's a different story. If he's ready for a remodel. So I'm going to start with my little drain cover here. So pretty much as little water as possible doing this. That's why the microfibers are so nice. They're not going to sop a bunch of water on. And I'm just going to see what happens if I go Yeah, that's nice. It's ready. Nice little initial wash. Just getting the main part of the grout off of there, off of the tiles. And then, actually no, I can do the sides too. These aren't the best microfibers, they're pretty small. Okay, so Lance brought me some better microfibers. My kids were at Target last night and I was like, hey, can you grab me some microfibers? And they got these dinky little ones. I think they probably went to the car wash section instead of the cleaning section. Because this is a much better microfiber here. Okay, so I'm gonna start with the sponge here and see how this goes. These tiles have a dark body and they have the glaze on the top. So that dark body kind of shows through once the grout joint gets a little lower. And so it's gonna show through, I know it is. It's just, it's not ideal. It's a lot nicer to have a through body porcelain where the color is closer to the color of the top, because then you don't have that contrast, and you can see it on most of the tiles here. My initial wash here is going to be just kind of to smooth everything out, and just a little kind of light scrub just to smooth out the joints. But those are smoothing out really nicely without washing out too much. Get into the corners. Kind of a circular motion. Nice, consistent lines. Try not to go with the grout joints as you're scrubbing. Go across the tiles in a diagonal. That seems to work the best. As you get to the edge, you don't really have a choice. But so once I have a clean sponge, I'm just going to do one pass, just like that, diagonally, and then I'll rinse my sponge. Get as much water as you can get out as possible. Come back over here, clean this corner, get that detail. And then, you know, I don't have a clean sponge anymore, so then I'll use that to do more scrubbing down below. Man, this is nice. This grout is really nice. It does help that, you know, I'm doing such a small area. Maybe catch me when I'm doing a whole shower, but doing a small area like this is grouting up better than I expected, actually. So yeah, so I'm just gonna do one pass. With the clean sponge, and then I can use that same sponge to get the stuff that hasn't been cleaned at all yet. I'm filling the joint in too as I'm doing this, just kind of shaping the joints. And once my sponge gets filled up with grout, I'll give it a rinse here. I'll go back and do another clean wipe, diagonal. But see, if I keep doing too much, I'm just going to be pulling more and more grout out of the joint. So I'm just getting, I would say I'm going like 80%. I'm going for about 80% clean right now. Laticrete does have a good video on this. If you do a YouTube search of they have an installer who, well, one of their employees, a sales rep who used to be an installer, he made a video on this, and it's actually a good informative video. Its production quality is not great, but the information is there, which is the most important part. But yeah, from what my initial wash here, this has exceeded my expectations. I don't have any air bubbles showing through. It's not washing the grout out. The grout joints are staying full. It's not wanting to stick on the tile. So I'm really happy with it. But yeah, so you see my technique is kind of an initial, I wouldn't even call it a scrub, an initial rub. Initial rub, shaping the joints gently. You don't want to use a lot of force, just kind of let the sponge do the work, and then go back over with a one pass on each side of the sponge. Because again, otherwise you'll just keep spreading the material back onto the tile and end up washing out the joints. So in my final wash, I'll show you the technique with the microfiber is I don't want to touch the grout joints at all. I get my microfiber flat and just kind of go flat across the tile. But if I were to do that right now, it would just keep spreading it. So I'm just getting the majority of it off. I said 80%. I said I'm probably 90%. Yeah, I'm probably 90%. Okay, so we're about there with the first wash. I just want to make sure that, you know, even on my perimeter, all my corners are cut in clean. I'll use my margin trowel, nice sharp margin trowel. And if I need to get into the corners, you know, you can just make sure you cut your corners real nice. Get any extra grout out of there. But I'm still going to have time. I believe, you know, that second wash, the grout's still not going to be at full strength. It's still not going to be as hard as it's going to get. So I can probably leave some of those corners, you know, a little high, and I can pick it out with the margin trowel once I'm done. But I want these long lines at the floor and wall. I want them shaped to where I want to be. You can get those shaped nice. That's good. This is good. Okay. Yeah, and I think different sections of the work can cure at different times, because this corner back here is softer, I can tell, than this side. And I think that's just because of airflow. Also, we have the sun coming down and it's hitting here. It's probably heating up a little bit, more airflow. This little corner back here is kind of tucked in there and it's staying a little more wet. But the initial wipe cleaned up great. I am really happy with how this came out, and we'll probably start using this more, actually. I mean, because more and more people are saying when we do our installs, I hate grout. I don't want to have to clean grout. I'm like, well, grout is what makes tile. You remove the grout, now you just have a solid panel of something that looks manufactured and man-made. When you put in tiles, this is a handcrafted. It's just that the grout joints are what gives it the look. So I think if we're able to ensure that your grout's not going to stain, I mean, I think our customers would be really happy with that. And I think it's just one of those practices that we've done for so long with the cementitious grout that, you know, sometimes it's tough to teach an old dog new tricks, but the simplicity of this grout, I think it would fit right in with how we do our installs, and you know, probably offer better warranties and everything on it too. So I'm to the point where it's no touchy, and we're gonna go outside, smoke a cigarette, and then, just kidding, I don't smoke cigarettes. But if I did, or if you do, now would be a good time to do that. Probably away from the part A and B, because that's probably flammable. But we'll go outside, and then we're gonna get ready. We'll hang these shower doors. That'll give us something to do kind of while this sets up. Get everything cleaned up except for the final wipe stuff we need, and then come back and do a final rinse. All right, so we waited about an hour and put our shower door back on, cleaned up all of our tools. So we're about ready to get out of here, and we're ready for the final rinse on here. I mean, it almost looks like it doesn't even need it. This stuff cleaned up so nice. I got the tile in great. I'm gonna put this in. Beautiful. But yeah, I can feel that it is a little sticky on the floor, so I'm gonna get that off of here. So this is the red packet, the final rinse packet. Go ahead and dump that in there. And let's see here, just give it a good mix. So I'm just gonna use, I'm not gonna use my sponge anymore for this final rinse. I'm just gonna use the microfiber. And I like to fold them up into quarters with these nice big microfibers. Fold it up into quarters. That way you could actually get 8 wipes, clean wipes out of one towel rinse. So I'm just gonna go back over and then come at a diagonal. And actually, I think it feels like it needs a little agitation. It's not like a regular grout where I could just wipe the grout haze right up. It feels like it's more of a gummy. It's like a more of a gummy texture, so it's gonna take a little bit. So I might need to just kind of almost use it like a sponge. And now I'm just trying to get the surface just agitated a little bit. Again, I don't really want to go into those grout joints. Just trying to stay on the surface. And that seems to be working better. So yeah, you can see this is just from the haze. You can see we do have some residue coming off of there. So it's a good thing we're doing this final rinse. Yeah, so it's just another good wipe. That seems to be working really well. The top of the grate too. It's nice that you can actually see where the drain grate is now. Before, without the grout in there, you couldn't even see it. Now the grate is standing out. But yeah, I can tell that additive is really helping clean this up. It's getting that gummy feeling off of the tile. I also need to make sure that I get the walls real good, because I didn't get a final wipe on the walls. I noticed the original installer has some haze here and there on the tiles. You don't want that, but yeah, just like that. So now that I did that and I agitated the surface and got most of it out of there, now I'm going to do my fold. And yeah, I'm not wearing gloves. You probably should wear gloves. But such a small area, I'm not going to. So there's one wipe, 2 wipes, and you can fold it this way. 2 more clean sides. And actually fold it back on itself again. And I got 4 more clean wipes. There we go. Yeah, so now I can tell there's no more residue coming off, and man, overall I'm really impressed with this. Let's go ahead and I'm going to clean up my area. We're just about done here. Load up the last of our trash and whatnot, and we'll get out of here. All right, so we're all finished up there. My thoughts on the SpectraLock 1, I am very impressed with the product. I think it went better than I had expected with no hiccups, cleaned up just as good as a cement grout would. I guess there's a little more wait time involved from the first wipe to the second wipe, but we had other things to do, so it wasn't a big deal. So yeah, we'll definitely be incorporating this into our construction company. I don't know if you know, I make YouTube videos, but I've been a licensed contractor since 2003. My business is a bathroom remodeling company called O-Tile out of Rockland, California. So a lot of the stuff that I'm using on jobs, making tutorials and how-to videos for you guys, it's also testing products that we're going to end up incorporating and using in our construction business as well. I think the Laticrete Epoxy Grout is a great product that I would be able to offer my clients as a maintenance-free, stain-proof grout. So I'm glad you were along today. Thanks for sticking around to the end. Make sure that you are locked into this channel. I bring a lot of good information that can help you, not only as a homeowner, do-it-yourselfer, but if you're a professional, I want to bring you the best tile content on the internet. So thanks for sticking around, guys. I love you. I love being your tile coach, and we'll see you on the next video.